Radkowski. There's a lot of confusion when it comes to Pete Davidson's dating life. He's this regular dude, looks kind of skinny. Let's be honest, he's dating one after the other hot chick, high value women. Ariana Grande, Kim Kardashian for a while, and now Emily Radka, I don't know how to say the name. It really doesn't make a lot of sense to the outside world. It does make sense to me because I've been doing nothing else for the last 8 years than surround myself with as many women as I can and learn about them. So when I heard the news that Pete is now dating the Polish supermodel Emily, I thought I'll make a video and go a little bit deeper into why is that. He's not particularly rich. I mean, sure, he has an income working at the SNL show, but there's billionaires and Emily could easily marry. Wasn't she even married to a guy who's like worth hundreds of millions? I don't know. But she could easily date a billionaire. So does Kardashian, so does Ariana. His style is super weird. Like, if you think about good style, probably you think about suits and things that are matching and the latest fashion. He does none of that shit. It's totally mixed up. He doesn't have a masculine face, strong beard. He is pretty tall. It's obviously a bonus, but as I figured out over time, that can be a thing that just so stuck in your head of like, I'm not tall, therefore I will never date hot women. I made it a mission to do it anyway, and you know, over the last, as I said, 8 years, I've been dating 9s and 10s, especially beautiful Russian and Ukrainian girls who didn't care that I'm not 185. I'm actually 175. So I found an old clip from 1 year ago where Emily talks about Dave. So let's check what she had to say about him.
I feel like only other men feel that way. Like, guys are like, wow, what's that guy got? And I'm like, I mean, he seems super charming. He's vulnerable. He's lovely.
Great.
His fingernail polish is awesome. Like, he looks good.
There you go.
He's great.
All right, well, I'm sold. I'm gonna have him back on.
Good relationship with his mother.
Yeah, great relationship with his mother.
I know it's a lot to digest. She literally said things like, he's super charming. Okay, that makes sense. He's vulnerable. He's lovely. He has fingernail polish. A great relationship with his mother, and you know, it's overall really hard to find guys like that. Now, is that the key, really? I have to be vulnerable and lovely and put paint on my nails? Very confusing message here by Emily. You know, Emily's a great girl. She has dated high value men. She obviously knows what she's doing. She's written books. She showed up in videos. She built a strong career, which I respect. But like so many other women, and in general everybody, she doesn't really sit down and think, what really turns me on in a guy? And especially if I had to coach a guy to become the kind of guy that I'm attracted to, what would I specifically tell him? What missions would I give him to accomplish? What would I tell him to change about himself, discover about himself? She sees the world through her own lens. She thinks, okay, I do like that he has a good relationship with his mom. She lists the conscious things. She's not listing the unconscious things that really attract her. Fair enough, everybody is like that. That's where guys like me come in, who spend a lot of time thinking it through on a deeper level. I also had incredible mentors in my life who explain me stuff that takes decades to discover. So in this video, we're gonna actually find out what makes Pete so attractive. Number one, Pete has social freedom. He is socially free. This is an incredible thing, but also when it comes to dating and seduction. He doesn't give a fuck what anybody thinks about him. He's putting himself out there, which basically means he's able to say things that other people don't say. He's able to shut down that voice that we all have inside of us, which is like, you're not good enough, people will judge you, don't do this, don't wear this, and so on. Which in general is extremely liberating, think about it. And when it comes to dating, it is a superpower because of the fact that he's authentic. He can be really himself. When you listen to Pete talk, you don't think he's putting on a mask. You can trust him. You can trust that he, whatever wants to say, he will say. If he has maybe a bad opinion about you, he will be direct. He won't, keep it and talk behind your back, which is incredibly relaxing in a relationship. If you have a partner who can just directly, in a nice way, confront you about the things that is maybe annoying or that create some friction, well, this will be super good for a smooth relationship. Also, obviously, if you always put yourself out there and you say whatever you want to say, you will be very polarizing. You will make really good friends and you will make enemies, which basically means there's a lot of women out there who would never date Pete, who You got offended within 90 seconds of meeting him. But on the flip side of that, there are certain women who absolutely love him. They are getting addicted to that energy. They're being drawn to him. It's usually much better to not try to make everybody like you. Because first of all, it's impossible anyway. You can be the smoothest, coolest guy, always in control, rich, good looking, and there will still be plenty of people who have a problem with that. You might as well stop trying, say what you want to say, put yourself out there, try to overcome that voice in your head, which is, by the way, a long process. Like, it took me personally years and years and years, and approaching hundreds of women on the street, thousands actually. But if you do that, you will get to a point where the people who do value you really value you. Pete obviously learned to be socially free mainly through his stand-up comedy career. I guess he didn't approach thousands of girls on the street like I did, although he could, I'm often surprised to learn how guys who are really good with women actually started out with street approach. Like, I heard in a Dan Bilzerian video once that he did approaching when he was younger, but let's assume he learned most of it on the stage during doing stand-up, right? Because the reality of a comedian is harsh. You write down a bunch of jokes and you practice them in front of a very critical audience who is not already in love with you, and usually 90% of the material would just totally bomb. If you have been at a comedy club before, you will know what I mean. This is a harsh routine because in order to become good at this, which he clearly is, he's filling big rooms of people who want to come to see him do comedy. He had to perfect that process. He had to repeat and repeat and repeat, constantly push his head against the wall and fail, bomb, overcome the fear of sucking. This is the reason why on our dating workshop, day one, we put the guys into situations where they're challenged with their social fears. I don't want to call it anxiety because it's not really clinical, but clearly where they have to confront it, where they have to do things that their inner voice usually screams loud enough to not make them do it. Because most of us worry too much what people think about us. It makes sense. We grew up in tribes. We want to fit in. We want to be liked. We have the need to be loved. Nobody wants to be excluded from their peers and their inner tribe and the people we value and who we love. So the safe thing to do is to fit in. But first of all, we don't live in small tribes anymore. We live in huge cities of millions of people where we can talk to someone or we can perform in front of somebody, and even if they hate us, even if they think we're an idiot and not funny or weird, we'll never see them again, and it doesn't really matter. So now that voice in our head that initially trained us to be safe and survive now blocks us from really doing what we want to do in life. It blocks us from living up to our potential, which is sad and crazy, and unfortunately how 99% of people live. Like, imagine you could just go out the street with your new weird outfit and you wouldn't even spend 5 seconds of brain energy on thinking, oh my god, how do I look, and oh, that girl looked at me, maybe she's judging me, and oh, now that girl did a weird facial expression after she looked at me, what is she thinking, Most of us go through life with these type of thoughts. We're constantly worrying about others' opinions, and we're making shit up. We don't even know what's real, right? Maybe the girl looked at us thinking, this guy kind of looks like my cousin on the thing. Pete, to bring it back to him, is not doing that anymore. I'm sure he isn't. And that's why it's so comfortable to being around him, because he is in his masculine core. He's strong, he says something with purpose because he's probably also good at delivery and directing his voice because he's training that on stage as well. And then when he says it, he said it, he means it, and he's strong in that. This is a vital skill, not just to date hotties in Hollywood, for every guy out there. Like, we are in a box these days. We don't even look people into the eyes anymore. If you're inspired and you want to improve your social freedom skills, literally walk out the door today and try to make strong eye contact with 10 people and get their eye contact back. You can make it a little game. Walk around as long as 10 people really look you in the eyes, and then you can smile and you can even say hello. This is you already, giving energy out instead of locking yourself in all the time. This is a huge skill to do anything in life. This is why I have this Instagram post, which is basically saying my tribe is built on cringe, because I realized, I think early on, I will never be the cool guy. I'll always be a bit of the nerd. I will never have full control over my posture and voice and mannerisms all the time, so I might as well stop trying and just embrace that life is cringe sometimes, and I'm okay with that. Number 2, charm. Emily says that Pete is super charming. Okay, cool. Again, it's one of those things where girls tell you stuff like, be confident, be yourself, the right one will come. Email/mom/cute auntie dating advice is just very confusing. What does charm really mean? It has many elements. Obviously, by you improving your social freedom, automatically you will be more charming. You will increase your charisma. Really, charm is at its core more intrinsic. You kind of like feel it when you have it. Now I'm really vague here, but what I want to get at is you can't just replicate it by watching YouTube videos of other YouTubers explaining why a charismatic guy is really charismatic, and then you just copy him, right? Chris Hemsworth is charismatic because he is being Chris Hemsworth, doing Chris Hemsworth things, saying Chris Hemsworth things. Kanye West is charismatic in a totally different way because he's being really himself. So they are just the best version of themselves they can be. If you just copy stuff from different people, now you are 5 out of 10 of a bunch of people, which means nothing. The authenticity just goes away. There are things though you can do to increase your charisma. We covered social freedom. The other one is fear of rejection and overcoming that one. It's in the same category, and we have a clip here of Pete when he's already dating Kim, explains her how it was for the first time asking her for her number, and this is what she's saying.
Asked for your number at the last minute and you pretended that you couldn't give it to me because you had gloves on.
I know. Will you ask me again this time? I don't have gloves on.
Sure.
It's a quite cute clip because it clearly shows it's not easy for him. He doesn't show that, oh, I'm a man, I'm a baller, I didn't actually care, you know. He shows his vulnerability, which is incredibly strong. The misconception so many men out there have that being vulnerable as a man means you're weakly and a pussy. Being vulnerable is the strongest thing you can do because we're all pussies inside. And you telling the world, hey, I'm being a pussy right now, I'm being open, I'm opening myself, do you want to attack me? This is a good time to attack me, do it, is extremely strong. So vulnerability means opening up, means making yourself ready for failure and attack, and you're doing it anyway, which is extremely respectful. It hurt for Pete as well, but he did it anyway, and it seems like he was ultimately unfazed by it because he tried again. Not saying to be needy and triple text a girl, hey, wanna go out, but you need to become okay with rejection because guess what? The world is harsh. It will reject you 99 out of 100 times for the stuff you really want, and you just have to keep going, and good things will come to you. And you building that resilience and you not caring about the immediate outcome, but of you doing the action, you will be rewarded and your charisma will go up. Another thing which makes Pete really charismatic is he has actually a strong masculine side, but it's very balanced. He's not over eagerly trying to look like a strong, tough guy. In this little clip, Kim is telling just a thing that she thought was cute. Let's look at that real quick.
And I fell asleep at 8:30. I was so tired, and I woke up in the morning with dried pimple medicine on my nose. And he put it on for me in my sleep because he knew.
So cute.
He knew that I really needed it.
So obviously this is a cute thing, you know, while Kim is sleeping, he thought, oh, she has a pimple and she has to shoot the next day, so I should put a cream on her. Little extra thing he does that other guys just would totally miss. Clearly, she thought it's cute. Her sisters or whoever those people in this show are thought it's cute. The producers thought it's a good idea to put that meme out there. This is similar to, you know, pulling in a chair when a girl comes or opening the door and stuff like that. I see a lot of guys getting really messed up in these days and ages because of the overly strong feminism movement that is very loud, very attacking, and guys then automatically think, oh, all women are like that right now. Just because 0.1% of women say things like, oh, I can open my own door and I'm totally independent, I don't need any man ever again, fuck man, da. In my experience, this is just the loudest people, which doesn't mean it's the majority of people. All of women, almost 99.9% of women, still really appreciate this form of masculinity, this caring way of treating your woman well, of seeing the little details, doing those little things. It's not about you being the absolute boss and buying her a Ferrari and stuff like that. At the end of the day, she wants to feel comfortable with you. She wants to wake up and live her day, and you can make it a little bit better. This is what being a gentleman really means. And if you think about it, this is actually another form of being direct. It's another level of social freedom and not caring too much of what people think, and him being authentic. He saw that she has a pimple and he acted upon it. He could act like he's ignoring it and he doesn't see her weaknesses. He doesn't want to deal with the fact that he sees her ugly side and so on. So he wants to protect himself from that. A similar example is when dudes, male friendship, somebody would have like spinach in their teeth. I see it over and over again. They're describing themselves as good friends, and they let their bro walk around all day with spinach in their fucking mouth, and they can't just say, hey bro, you got some spinach in your teeth, you should take it out, it looks dumb. Or a guy has really bad breath, or a guy really stinks and he's sitting at a business meeting. I early on just started telling my friends when there's something wrong with their appearance or their smell, not because I'm an asshole, I get any joy out of it. Like, it still takes social freedom for me to do it. I don't want to do it, but it makes the tribe better. Him and Kim in this situation are their own little tribe. They are a couple, and he wants to make her look good, even though he needs to call out her ugliness. It's just a fucking pimple. We all have pimples, but you get the point. This is what makes it actually super strong. How do you learn that part of charisma? Really just being around women more and more and more. FaceTime is key in this case. You cannot really watch YouTube videos on that stuff or read books. You need to surround yourself with women. You need to build a life and a lifestyle where women come into your, proximity, and it just takes time. Get female friends, choose a hobby that isn't just purely masculine, do more holidays, do activities that involve women, build a lifestyle that is attractive to women. So if you're a programmer who's also working from home, all your co-workers are male, and then you barely go on like group holidays where it's mixed men and women, and your hobbies are also like jujitsu and whatever other masculine stuff, well, it will be really, really difficult to get FaceTime with women for you. One hobby could you replace with something like yoga or dancing, or just by doing the activity you will automatically just meet more women. I'm not even saying dating them, but just being around them will teach you things. Number 3, lifestyle setup. So where is Pete meeting all these women? He's meeting them at Saturday Night Live. He's meeting them at the place where he's incredibly comfortable, where he's the king, where he's the boss, where he's leading people, where he knows what's up. On a global level, he's less rich and less famous than the girls he's dating. The location where he's meeting them, he's totally flipping that power dynamic. So suddenly, he's the leader and they're the followers. And that's where the seduction happens. That's where he's comfortable. That's where he can be a little bit cheeky, where he can put a little pressure on girls, where he can make them a little jealous, which is really important when you're dating on a high level. Jealousy obviously has a negative kind of vibe to it, but if you really, trust me, if you really want to date 9s and 10s, especially consistently, you have to use the tool of jealousy. So obviously he's the boss there, right? He's probably flirting with the coworker, he's flirting with the art director, he's flirting with the female scriptwriter, as he's also flirting with Kim, and she's like, oh my god. And then something just switches in her brain. She's forgetting that she's Kim Kardashian with tens of millions of followers for a second, and she's going back into her little girl mode where she's like, I want the guy who is wanted by all the other girls. And then that's where he's probably coming in, and he does the seduction there. He plants the right seeds, and as we know, he's planting seeds earlier, as we see in that other rejection clip. Think about it. How is your environment? How can you seduce girls on a consistent basis? How could you even create an environment where girls come in more often? Because a lot of the time, the dating situation of most men looks like this. They're going to a club, and maybe they do some pre-drinks at home, and then they have one night at the club where it needs to happen. And if it doesn't happen tonight, then they're depressed at home. And then it's like 2 a.m., 80% of the girls already left, all the hot ones left long ago, and then they're choosing the really ugly one, sorry. Then they just repeat that cycle every week instead of building a lifestyle where they're just consistently exposed to higher and higher level women, and then they can be more relaxed in that situation. Pete doesn't need to make it happen on that one evening because he knows girls will keep flowing in, the same women will keep coming back. He can plant certain seeds, he can show himself as the leader in that environment, he can be cheeky, he can be charming, he can be a gentleman like we discussed, and then that seed will grow in the girl's mind until she comes back next time, and then he closes the deal. But Alex, I'm not working at SNL. What should I do? I hear you say. Do the basic version of this, which is get a picnic blanket, choose a spot where it looks nice at sunset, bring some friends together, have a male collaborator who also knows some girls, and then do a little bit evening sunset picnic with beers, some snacks, a guitar, with a 2-to-1 ratio. Because we talked about jealousy, we talked about we want to have usually more women than men in our social events. The parties I create have a golden minimum ratio of 3-to-1, so there will never be less than 3 women per 1 guy on the one we call it as I do. You can do that literally next week if you put a little bit effort on it, not because it will massively change your life from one picnic, but you will start learning the lessons of lifestyle design, of seduction, and of social circle game. And social circle game is incredibly powerful because even though men are the competitive ones and want to compete and fight against each other, really at their core, women are incredibly competitive. They're constantly comparing themselves with each other. They're always looking what the other girl is up to. They're very jealous. They're very driven by that. So they want to be also better and better and better, just like on the feminine side, not the masculine one. So they don't want to have bigger muscles and more money. They want to be more beautiful. They want to, have a more beautiful boyfriend, stuff like that. You will learn all those lessons by going deeper and deeper into social circle game and learning more about lifestyle design. If you want to get really deep in that, you can click on the other videos on my channel where I go a little more into depth on that. Number 4, style. Now let's look at Pete's style for a second. Let's look at some photos here. He's wearing nail polish. He's wearing kind of high school kind of vibe, pretty boyish. He's absolutely mixing color. Nothing makes sense. There's no composition in that sense. What's going on? Very confusing. Does this mean that if you would dress like him, if you would buy the selected items in a shop and would put on the same outfit like him, that you would be more charismatic and sexy? No. You would look ridiculous, dude. Like, look at it. It looks ridiculous. But it still works. Why does it work? Style is an incredibly important element when it comes to seduction and dating, simply because it is the first thing that people see, right? As you walk up to a woman, as you are at a social event, the first thing you will communicate, vibe out into the world is the way you dress. Before you open your mouth, before you do some funny joke or whatever, put pressure through your eye contact on a girl, she will judge you based on your fashion, on the things you put on and the things you don't put on. So you don't have a choice. You will be communicating something about you, which is an incredible power. And you want to use that power to communicate something about you that you want to communicate. You want to basically find your archetype. Now, what do I mean by archetype when it comes to dressing well and when it comes to style? Obviously, there's archetypes from the more historical kind of way of the king and the lover and the magician, which we know from certain books. When it comes to style, we're trying to think, what is the core masculine archetype of a certain piece of clothing? Let's think about a leather jacket. Many people wear leather jackets these days, but who was kind of the first? It was the rockers, it was the bikers. They had leather jackets to protect themselves from the concrete when they would drop off their bike. Now everybody's wearing leather jackets, but still through movies and through other type of memes in that sense, we still associate a leather jacket with the cool biker, with freedom, with a guy who doesn't care so much what people think, who is strong, who is on a machine, who's maybe fixing a machine. Similar with lumberjack shirts. Am I chopping wood in the woods on weekends just because I'm wearing that shirt? No. But I get the benefit of being associated with that masculine activity by wearing something like this. If I wear boat shoes and a white bottom up, does it mean I own a yacht? No. But through magazines and movies and music videos, I can communicate that element through my style. I can communicate luxury, elegance, appreciating nature and ocean through literally just putting on that outfit. What is Pete doing? He is the rebel. He's the rock star. He's the guy who doesn't give a fuck. That's what his clothing is communicating, and he's basically doubling down on that energy through his style and fashion, which attracts a certain type of audience, pushes away another type of audience. If you think about it, Kim Kardashian was dating Kanye West before. He's also dressing really just how he wants. Very wide hoodies. He has his own fashion label. He makes weird stuff. He doesn't really care if people love the design. He's just being himself. He designs what he thinks is cool, and then people catch on to that and they like it as well. Also, he's attracting the type of girls who would appreciate the fun kind of buddy. He's the cool boyfriend. He's the guy you can get drunk with on a Wednesday evening. He's the guy you can watch a movie with or binge through a whole Netflix show. You know, he's not the business guy who is always on time and gets up at 5 a.m. to hit the gym before anybody else. So he will attract the type of girls who also want that in a partner currently. A woman's needs will shift through her life. Maybe at the beginning she wants the crazy party guy, drug dealer type of vibe. Then later she wants the more healthy guy, and then later she wants the more business guy as she's doing a family, and then she wants the totally settled, loving himself, stable guy. Women go through different phases in their life as well, of course, but clearly Pete knows his archetype when it comes to fashion. He's doubling down on it through the pieces he's picking, and it works for him. Doesn't mean it would work for you. And as a bonus, number 5, the mom. Emily mentions that Pete has a great relationship with his mom. Now, of course, this is a little bit out of our control, although it is an incredibly powerful thing if you had troubles with your parents in the past, to confront them and try to make peace, take action when it comes to building a strong relationship with your parents. This is one of the hardest things to do in life. I understand that. But why is Emily mentioning this? She mentioned 5 things, and one of them is the mom. Well, first of all, it shows that you maybe had a good childhood because you kept a good relationship with your parents, which means you're probably not traumatized, which is obviously good. Like, I don't have to explain why it's good to not be in a relationship with a traumatized person versus a psychologically healthy person. Also, it can show that you value family values, that you value relationship between parents and children. And women obviously cannot stop their instinct from trying to make babies and trying to have a good family one day, and choosing a guy that has a high chance of giving them a good baby and a good family in the future. If he values the relationship with her mom, well, he will probably also value his relationship to his future son, to his future daughter as well, which is great if you think about it. If she thinks long term, I want this guy to be a father. I want this guy to be the father of my children one day. Does she consciously think like this when she's choosing to have sex with him for the first time? Absolutely not. But as we know, the subconscious is much, much stronger than the conscious mind, so she literally can't help herself. She hears him talking highly about his mother, and instantly some switch in her brain goes off that says, good father, fuck him. That's how it is.